What's going on, everybody? DeMarco Crum, Laura Mahoney here for another episode of the Strength with Purpose show, Strength with Purpose podcast, either or. And we're here to help you become your strongest selves and have a little fun along the way. We're super excited to going to give you a shorter podcast today. We're going to get right into the content and the main topic of today. And it is the one thing that you need in order to be successful in life: health, fitness, family, finances, everything imaginable. This one thing will be the game changer for you. And that one thing is having a proactive mindset versus a reactive mindset. And listen, we've all been there. We're both parents. Whether you're a parent or a business owner, or you just have a job, you're a busy adult and you have responsibilities, it's very easy for the day, the week, the month, the year to get away from you. You know, oh God, I ran out of time. I didn't get this done in time. I wanted to do that. I haven't been to the gym in 5 years. You know, we have these conversations all the time, Laura, as you know. You've heard it many times, and that is because we get into this mindset of coasting. And I don't want that to say that I'm calling anybody out and saying that we're not saying you're being lazy or that you don't have work ethic. It's nothing to do with that. It is just the mindset of shifting over from that reactive, that like, okay, cool, this is what do I need to adjust to today, versus this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be intentional. These are the meals I'm going to eat during the week. These are the hours I'm going to work. You know, this is my schedule. This is when I'm going to hang out with my daughter, or with Laura with her son, a son and daughter, excuse me. And you know, setting time. This is when we're going to do date night. You know, I'm going to do date night with my wife. You know, Laura's going to do date night with her husband, and putting together a plan ahead of time of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it. And that's been the case for fitness, for nutrition, for everything, for life, for family, for work. And that mindset shift will be the game changer, because once you switch over and you say, you know what? I'm in charge here. I'm in command. I'm going to take command of this vessel and I'm going to put together a plan and I'm going to go into this situation knowing what we're going to do. You feel super empowered. Suddenly the life that feels very chaotic feels less chaotic. It's still chaotic, right? There's still things that are going to happen. There's going to be, unintended consequences of things happening. The just unplanned things happen. Life is still very chaotic, but you can take back a lot more of that control by being proactive. So that was the main thing there. So a proactive versus a reactive mindset. And the last thing I'll say before I hand the mic over to Laura is, when I made that change, it was probably about 5 years ago. 5 years ago when I really made the change. I was kind of thinking about it 10 years ago, but I really implemented on this mindset 5 years ago. And when I started to make that change, it didn't necessarily become easier, but I felt more fulfilled at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, and in the end of the year. And I look back and I'm very happy with what I've been able to accomplish as a coach, as a father, as a husband, and what my family and I have been able to accomplish together as far as emotional growth, closeness, and being able to really fortify and strengthen those bonds and for us to all grow. So proactive versus reactive. That's my TED Talk. Boom, Laura, you're up.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Like, we're always going to be reactive to some things in life. There are some things that are out of our control,
Yes.
but it's so important to recognize the things that are in your control. And even if that is just like how your perception of the situation. Like, I always
Yes.
you give the example of, like, when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, that's my way to ground myself, and that's my morning routine. It's something I do every morning anyways, whether my kids are with me, whether I'm by myself. And that's my anchor point for the day, is literally just to do that.
Yeah, it's
And so
good.
today is going to be a good day. I feel my body right now. I feel in tune with myself, and I'm not going to let the chaos of the day get the better of me. And that's saying to the best of my ability. Sometimes it does a little bit, but
Exactly.
I think a lot of life is just our perception of things, and are we willing to take control of what feels like it can be uncontrollable? Like stress is a reactive emotion or a reactive
Yes.
response,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have to be a response. But we get so caught up in just like, stress is normal. I'm a parent. I'm stressed. I'm busy. I'm stressed. Where you could be busy and you could be not stressed. You could be a parent and you can have fun.
That's right.
So I think like that's a huge part of it, and how like I personally stay grounded and stay in a proactive stage, um, or state, excuse me. And then a couple other things that I really like to think about, and I'm like a huge science nerd. Like I love the science of like exercise and nutrition, but I also love the
Absolutely.
science of the brain. And your brain is just like neural pathways that have to develop. So the
That's
more
right.
you stay in a negative thought pattern or the more you stay in a reactive state, the more your brain's going to develop like those pathways. But if you can start making that conscious decision to be proactive and to create the like new neural pathways, that's going to be your reality. And some of that is again, taking a minute of the day and just like visualizing who you want to be in 90 days from now. And your brain, just from visualizing that, even if you don't feel like you're that person 90 days from now, your brain is getting used to being that person that you want to
That's
become.
right.
And I love it. I think it's like the coolest thing ever. And I was actually listening to a meditation recently, and I don't do the silent meditations. I like to do the guided ones just to like get me thinking in
I
this
like the guided ones
great
too.
way. Yeah. Um, and it gave that example of like very much so like who do you want to be however many days from now? How do you want to feel? Like we got down into like the nitty-gritty of like exactly what does your life look like? And at the end of that, it was just like, well, you just lived it. Your brain thinks that's your reality now. So now go out about your day and be that person. And it was like, that was within a 5-minute video that I watched. And all of a sudden, your world can change. And if you do that regularly, then um, literally your entire world is going to change forever.
I agree. No, I think that's wonderful. So well, I know I said we are going to keep this a short podcast, and we will.
I just
But
this forever.
Laura mentioned a couple of wonderful things that I definitely want to cover more in depth later down the road. That I just 100% agree with. I mean, it's true. You really can change your life with a mindset shift. And people hear that and they think, oh, that just sounds kind of corny,
Right.
like some
Yeah.
kumbaya stuff around a campfire. But it's really true because if you change your mindset around something, and just think about time. I'm 35. You're
Yeah. Yeah.
32, 31. You're
Oh,
35. We're both 35.
that would be awesome.
Um, and we have I mean, statistically speaking, we likely have another 30, 40, maybe even 50 years left on this planet. That one mindset change that we apply for the next anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5 decades.
Mhm.
Imagine all the decisions that you'll make during that time with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, with your finances, with how you run your business, with how you treat your friends, your relationships, and how you give back to the community, and how you do life, how you do this whole life thing. It really can be powerful, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that it is powerful. And I've seen other people make that shift as well, and it's just really cool because it's very it reminds this is so corny, but I got to do it. It very much reminds me of the ending of The Matrix. Have you seen The Matrix, Laura?
So many years ago. I only saw the first one.
Good. That's the best one. The sequels
Okay.
are we'll say that for another day, but the first one's definitely the best one. But the end of the Matrix, Neo has learned about his abilities and he believes in himself as the one, and Agent Smith comes up and just throws a bunch of random strikes at him, and Neo just turns to the side and he's just blocking the strikes from his peripheral vision, which is really just cool. And it's
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves being awesome. But that's you kind of get into that state of mind of like, okay, cool, this is happening. It's all good. I know what I need to be doing. I know what my mission is, and this doesn't really concern me right now. And one more piece, and then we can wrap this up because I could riff forever. But what Laura mentioned earlier, that stress as a state and as a response, very true. It's very easy to become stressed after something happens, and it's natural. We're not judging anybody for it. However, the Stoics would argue that whenever something happens to us, whether it is someone cutting you off in traffic, your dog pooping on the floor, your kid throwing up all over you, which both have happened to me, by the way, and probably to you as well.
Oh,
And things happening. You overdraw your account. You make a mistake or whatever. You overcharge it. Something happens. Something doesn't happen that you expected. These are what the Stoics refer to as impressions. This is something happening, and it is what they also refer to as an external. It is external to you. Somebody slapping you in the face. This is a crazy example, but someone slapping you in the face, that's someone is performing the action. And yes, that did hit your face. So it did happen to you, but there is a small little bit of space between the impression and the reaction and the response. And we
Mhm.
still have choice. So to bring it back to what Laura said earlier, it's very true. These pathways, these neural pathways, I like to think of them as literally walking paths.
Mhm.
And we can go to that fear response, we can go to that anger response, that resentment, or we can reprogram the brain, and go to that other pathway and say, you know what? Where's the opportunity?
Yeah.
Where is the ability to grow? What can we do of this? What are we going to do about this versus why is this happening to me? It's like, okay, this is what's going on. Almost like in a basketball game or a football game, you're getting blown out. It's halftime. Okay,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? Everyone talked about that when Bill Belichick was at, the Patriots, was like, even if you had them, on the ropes at halftime, don't count your blessings yet. Obviously the historic Atlanta Falcons game, Super Bowl, where they were 28-3 at one point, and then Bill and the boys went in the locker room and they made some adjustments, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Laura, you brought up some great points. Anything you want to add before we finish this up?
Um, I have so much to add.
I know, right?
I do. I think it's important for everybody to be able to set their non-negotiables. And I believe we talked on this about
Yes.
this on a recent episode, but my non-negotiables for the week to take care of myself are again to brush my teeth in the morning, but also like make sure I am like very much like in that state for those 2 minutes that I brush my teeth
Hmm.
of being, open to the day and to receiving like all the good energy from the world. My non-negotiables are making sure that I exercise, that I eat healthy, that I eat quality foods that nourish my body so that I have energy in my everyday life. And I
Yes,
want to say it's not like much more complicated than that, but when I do those, I
exactly.
feel anchored, I feel grounded, I feel good, and I feel like I could deal with everything else that is a little bit more
Exactly.
uncomfortable for the week or for life for that matter.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, the only thing, and I'm sure this is the same for you,
Mm.
but the only thing I would add to that is just sleep. That's one thing I've really been
Yes, yeah.
more particular about, particularly the last few years, has just been getting sleep because you need sleep. Our bodies need sleep. I don't need to tell you that. There's so much research. Go check it out.
Mhm.
Sleep is good for you. I think I can make that claim
We also
without
love to thrive off of just like saying we're tired and like
right.
using that as a badge of honor, but it's not. Like you're
Exactly.
doing yourself a disservice if you're not
Yeah.
sleeping.
I agree. I agree. And let's be honest. Like even for me, I'm a very healthy person. I consider myself in pretty good shape. I feel great, and I'm
Yeah.
able to do the things I need to do. Even after a 7 or 8 hour night's sleep, at the end of the day of training, doing my workouts, running my business, taking care of my family, spending wonderful quality time with my lovely ladies, all three of them, my wife, my daughter, and my dog.
Good.
I'm tired, and I am tired, but it's a good tired because it's a feeling of accomplishment. Like, yeah, I nailed it today. And you'll make
Right.
mistakes. We're not perfect. Don't let Laura and I fool you. There are plenty of days where it's chaos. You've done posts where you're on the couch with your kids and everyone's sick, and you're like, you
Yeah.
know what? We're just watching TV today because everyone feels like
True.
garbage. That's
That's
life.
in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. So it's obviously not all sunshine and rainbows. But again, proactive versus reactive. This is what's happening. This is what we're going to do. And hey, if this happens, it's all good. We got a contingency plan, and we can rock and roll. So, and one last little thing because I never know how to shut up. I'm not super into. It's funny. I went back and forth on it. I used to be really into meal prep, and then I got so sick of it because I was making the same crap over and over again, and I got tired of it. So I stopped doing meal prep, and now I'm switching back into more meal prep. But I do basically I don't complicate it. I make
Mhm.
our regular dinners. I just make extra and then save it and just warm up the leftovers. It's not like a separate process where it's like, okay, we got dinner tonight, and then I got to set up my meals for the week. It's like, no, it's all the same. Like, we do a lot of pasta because I love pasta, and we move a lot, so our bodies need those carbs.
Yeah.
And I just make a second batch of it, and then we have I got a whole bowl of pasta sauce ready to roll, and I cook pasta in 10 minutes, obviously, which is easy. And I got a chili in the crock pot right now that's going to be ready at about 4 o'clock today, and then I have
Yeah.
pulled chicken that I had in the crock pot yesterday that's ready to go. So we have, I mean, a bunch of food, so we're good. So it's like the end of the day, it's like, oh man, all this crazy stuff happened. You know what? I know what we're having for dinner. We got easy options ready to go.
Exactly.
Literally just have to microwave it, or throw it in a saucepan and reheat it, and that's it. So,
Yep.
Jocko Willink talks about this all the time. Discipline equals freedom. I totally believe in that. If you
Agreed.
do the work ahead of time, you set yourself up for easy.
Mhm.
For easy. You set yourself up for easy. That's not a good way to
Very
put it.
careful, like, yeah.
Yeah, you set
Well,
yourself up for success.
yeah, and it's so funny too because it seems so daunting if you're not used to it. But once you like, it takes conscious
Yeah,
effort, it takes practice, and it takes time.
it
And I
does.
think as long as you're willing to let it take time and like let it be those things, knowing that it's not going to be perfect, you're already setting yourself up for success. But
Yes.
because it doesn't feel daunting to me anymore. It did at the time, like right, like I was an incredibly unhealthy person growing up, and I had to learn how to get to this point. I was also an incredibly stressed out person,
This
and
guy was too.
yeah, and I had to get to this point in my life. Doesn't mean it was easy by any means, but
No, no,
I feel that freedom now that you were just talking about. So I
big
won't
time.
like anybody that's listening is like these two are like talking, a load of shit that I'm never going to be able to relate to. It's
Right.
not that we weren't there. It was just that we allowed ourselves that grace, that opportunity, and we wanted to take that control of our lives and not let life seemingly control us. So that's
Absolutely.
my 2 cents for anyone listening. If you feel like this is like, you can't grasp it quite yet, just again, start visualizing who you want to be, how you want to act, who is that like ideal person, that you're going to be in a year from now, 5 years from now, then 10 years from
Yeah.
now, and just start taking small action to start getting to
Hmm.
that person.
I love that. Two last points, and then I'm actually going to stop talking.
Yeah,
That
same.
reminds me of one of my favorite. I don't watch much of these anymore, but I'm sure we've all been there. You watch a bunch of motivational speeches on YouTube. They're great. Sometimes they're fun just to get you amped up a little bit. We'll talk about this later, but I rely much more on discipline and
Mhm.
habits over willpower and
Same.
motivation.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day. But Matthew McConaughey has a really good one. I think it's at a commencement speech or
I watched that
graduation.
recently. It was
Yeah,
really
and he says, like, basically think about your hero in 10 years, like the person you're going to look up to, and that's who you want to strive for. And I just think that's cool. I love that mindset of like, let's do things now so that we could become that better heroic version of ourselves in 10 years, which is cool. And just to give you a personal example of like a quick overview over the last, let's see, 12 years. Um, all of the changes that I've made in my lifestyle have been one at a time. So we're not telling you that you have to make all these changes overnight. And just to give you a brief overview, a snapshot, going back 12 years, at that time, I was a smoker. I smoked a pack a day,
yeah.
cigarettes. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's wild.
Learned something new.
I was at times a very heavy drinker. I
Mhm.
ate nothing but fast food. My family would literally just say, "Dude, eat a fucking vegetable once a month." I was very, very just my lifestyle was super inactive or super, super unhealthy.
Yeah.
I was always active, but just definitely was not, and I wasn't sleeping anywhere near as much as I should have been. And I'll save those details for another day. There was some mental health stuff that I really needed to conquer and tackle. But from then to now, one at a time, I quit smoking. Been a non-smoker for like 8, 9 years. I don't even know. I think I've lost maybe 10. Yeah, it's a lot, which is great. I've been alcohol free for 2 years, and that's just been another wonderful decision that I've made for myself, for me personally. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching to people, but I got myself on a very consistent training schedule. Hired my own coach to train me. Even though I know how to train, it's still good to have that accountability piece and someone to push you and give you a program and a proactive plan to do the thing. Notice the theme here, folks. And then with eating, making meals ahead of time, preparing, setting myself up with a schedule. That's a lot of change, but it
Yeah.
didn't all happen at once
Yeah.
because I would be impressive if somebody were to do all of
It'd
that
be
at once.
awesome if
I
they
would
could.
be that would be amazing, honestly. But for me, it was we're going to tackle one thing at a time. And I kind of had a mindset a while ago where it was one thing a year, one major change a year, and yeah. So as a result, I feel great. I'm physically healthy. My joints feel awesome. My mental health is as strong as it's ever been, and I'm just very happy. I'm thriving right now, you know, as a father and husband and trainer, member of the community. So so if you need to make big changes in your life, do it one at a time, man. Take one and say, I'm going to focus on this the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days or a year, or whatever stretch of time you need. And then lock that in and then move up the next level and then the next level and the next level. And then before you know it, you're going to look back like me on the last decade and go, damn, we've done some shit. Like I'm feeling good. So I think I'll leave you guys with that. Laura, anything to add?
No, I think that's a really, really great way to end and cap off. And same here. Like I can look back 10 years and be like, all right, well, like I don't even recognize that person anymore. She wasn't happy.
Oh,
Now I get to this point. Like
big time.
this is thriving. 30s in our 30s and thriving.
No,
And
easily been my best
yep,
decade. And
yep,
another one last little thing is where you are now is not necessarily where you're going to be later. Like that's I think that's a cool thing of, you know, like where I am, I'm very happy where I am now, but there's still things that I need to do. There are things that I want to accomplish as all my various roles, father, husband, coach, business owner, member of the community. There's a lot of things that I have left to do. You know, should I be blessed to have much more time on this earth in this life? And so I'm still climbing. The process really never ends, right? But really think about that. Where you are, who you are now, is not necessarily where you're going to be later down the road. So we can evolve and grow together. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. I said this was going to be a shorter one. I think this is still shorter. We're like 20 minutes, I think.
shorter.
So
We're good.
it's going to make my editing job a little easier, which I appreciate. One thing I wanted to add to everybody that I've been forgetting to say, if you like this video, if you're getting great value out of this content, please hit the thumbs up for us, like, subscribe to the channel. We've just put together a wonderful plan of amazing content we're going to be coming out with for you guys. We're going to cover health, fitness. We've got some fun guests that we've got coming up in the future. So we're gonna cover the intersection of fitness with other aspects of life and how the skills and habits and discipline that you build there can carry over to other parts of your life. So I'm very excited for that. I'm very pumped about that, but hope you guys got a bunch of value out of this. As I said before, we're here to help you become your strongest selves, have a little fun along the way. And until next time, I'm DeMarco Crum. That's Laura Mahoney. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.